Welcome to another edition of Anthony T's Reviews. As this is a new segment, I know I said another edition, but I may have done this back a while here on the Film Arcade YouTube channel, or did something similar to this, where I would review a film here on YouTube. Then I got too busy with the podcast and everything, and well, I haven't had time to do videos in quite a while, as you've just been getting episodes of the podcasts I produce. I'm trying to change that a little bit by adding some more videos to the Film Arcade Net YouTube channel. And one of them is Anthony T's Film Reviews. And this is a segment where I will talk about serious films that don't make it to Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling Show, or films that I see that are horror, but it may take 2-3 weeks until the next episode, and I already dropped an episode of Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling just a couple days ago, so it would be another 2 or 3 weeks before I drop another episode. And I figured I'd rather get this review out now than later. And the film I'm going to talk about is Immaculate. Now, you're watching this on April 1st. Normally, when I get a review done, it'll be like 24 to 48 hours once it's done on the YouTube channel. But for this film, it's different because, well, with Easter weekend that just happened, I didn't want to put this review out so it doesn't anger anybody, because it contains sensitive topics that may anger a certain group of people. As I've already know, this movie has already angered a certain group of people. So I decided to wait till April 1st to put this review out. So there's none of that. And it's just a movie. Seriously. But I know how people get these days. If you offend them on a certain topic, they'll get angry. So I decided to wait to April 1st to put my review of Immaculate out. Now, the film itself is a very good film, and a film that you should check out most definitely. In fact, there's a great chance this film will be in the top 10 in either my overall top 10 and or my horror top 10 films of 2024. Because Immaculate was one of those films where it hooked me on from minute one. And for horror films to do that, it's hard to do. Seriously. It's hard to hook you up from the first minute to the last minute. And one of the reasons why I think this film was very good was both the direction and the writing here. That's one of the main reasons. As director Michael Moorhan and writer Andrew LaBelle did a great job with their roles, whether it's writing, directing in the film. If I gaze over a little bit, I'm just going over notes, that's all. Because sometimes you forget those little names. Don't worry, I know the main actress is stars in this film. I don't need to write a note for that. But anyway, Mohan and LaBelle, I think, did a great job with their roles in this film. First off with Mohan. He does a great job with the way he gets everything to look so great in this film. Whether it's the way he directs his cast, whether he makes sure that the film has this very gothic feel to it, this very nostalgic Italian horror film tone to it. Everything looked like I was watching an Italian horror film. Let's face it, this is supposed to be a mainstream horror film. Immaculate did not feel like a mainstream horror film. And that's one of the first surprises of this film, was the direction. Because I like the fact that Mohan does a very good job in making sure that he gets what he wants in his actors. He gets what he wants from his cinematographer. As his cinematographer did a great job with the way he shot this film. As it really captures this Gothic church. It really felt like something you would see in Italy. Literally. And I've seen the full moon films, like Castle Freak, shot in a Italian castle. It had that kind of Italian Gothic vibe to it, as the same like a Castle Freak did. Another thing that I like about Mohan's direction was the way he directed the action in this film. I like the fact that it had an intense feel to it. I loved how he delivers the gore in this film. As it's very gory, it's very bloody, and he really delivers it in a way that is shocking. And that's what you kind of want in an Italian horror film. Also, shocking gore. This film has it as well. It really delivered on the action aspects to go along with all the other aspects, because Mohan does a very good job here with the direction. He really makes this film fly by. The screenplay by Andrew LaBelle was also very good. I love the fact that he writes the dialogue in both English and in Italian, meaning you have to have English actors and Italian actors in the film, performing their lines in the exact language in which it was written. I like the fact that he went for that with the screenplay, and the fact that Mohan went along with it and directed that. Because literally, when you see these American films, everything has to be in English. There's a good chunk of dialogue in this film that's Italian. And I liked it because it gives the vibe of this whole Italian covenant. It gives the vibe that you're watching a film that takes place in Italy. And it really gives that Italian Gothic horror vibe. And that's what really, I think, makes this screenplay very good. He also does a very good job developing his main character here. As his main character is developed in the way that you're seeing this film through her eyes. As you're going through the different sections of the film. It made for some very interesting scenes and a very insane third act, which leads to a very shocking ending that will be controversial, people. This is why I'm putting this movie out. This is why I'm putting this review out on Monday. Because this movie is controversial. And its ending is controversial. I'm not giving it away. I'm just saying it's a controversial ending. I'm letting you get people know going in that the ending is very controversial. But still, it was very effective. And that's what Italian horror films usually do. They give you these controversial shock endings. And Immaculate felt like an Italian horror film throughout its complete running time. It did not feel like an American produced film at all. Not with the story, not with the directing, not with the fact that it was shot in a convent, not the fact that it was shot in both English and Italian languages. That's what really makes Immaculate a very good film. And I would not be remiss if I did not say that Sydnee Sweeney gives an excellent performance in this film. She does a great job driving her character throughout the course of this film. She's the main star of this film, literally. You can have all the great writing, all the great direction, but you need a performance that will drive the film home. And Sydnee Sweeney, whom I thought going into this film, that might be the weakest aspect of the film, was the lead performance department, because Sydnee Sweeney has not done anything to the level of this seriousness, with the exception of maybe her TV show Euphoria on HBO. But still, her movies have not been serious films, everyone. I don't think Madam Web is a serious film, even though I haven't seen it yet. But I'm pretty sure it's not a serious film. But anyway, Sydnee Sweeney proves that she can be a leading lady in Hollywood. She just does. She does not need these stupid comedy roles. She does not need to be in these superhero movies. She can pull off a dramatic performance. And she does pull off a great dramatic performance here, as she really helps this film be excellent. Immaculate is already like a 4-star film, but Sydnee Sweeney's performance elevates this film to like best film of the year talk territory. Literally. This film has everything. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention the score too was also great. It had an Italian themed score as well. So this film has all the aspects to be a best of 2024 film. It just does. And we're in what? I'm recording it in late March. And this is probably going to be in my top 5. I just don't see this not making the top 5. There's like a 96% chance this film will be in my top 5 films of 2024. That's how great this film is. And it'll probably get better on a rewatch, because I love Italian horror films. And this film is just great. Excuse me. It's just, I'm going so off here. It's just, that's what I do when I love films like this. Seriously. I go off in greatness. Not like dealing in me whining about films like, say, Scalper or Destroy All Neighbors. Films that I've already whined about on the podcast. Immaculate is a great film. It needs to be seen. Forget the first Almond coming out. I'm sure it'd probably be a good film, but Immaculate is probably going to be the better of the two religious horror films that are coming out this year. And there might be another one that I am forgetting at the moment, but I don't see this film being lower than maybe a 5 on my year-end best of horror list. Because this film is probably going to stay on that list for the entire year. Just like Evil Dead Rise did last year on my list. It stayed there, hovering around the top 3 for the entire year. This film will probably do the same. It is just an excellent film. Go see this film in theaters. I'd rather you support independent films like this than run it off to the multiplex and see Godzilla versus Kong or whatever Godzilla Kong movie it is now that's playing in theaters. Because Immaculate is just an excellent movie. Go see it right away before it leaves theaters. 5 stars.